We'll get started. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, mate. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Most welcome to, I guess a good place to start would be Bali Brotherhood, given the theme of this podcast. For those who don't know what it's all about, what is it and how did you start it?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I've been really trying to nail this down recently because what we have is so special. I'm really trying to understand the essence of what it is. So for the listeners, so Bali Brotherhood is a men's community here in Bali. We show up every single Saturday at 8 a.m. and we hold space for men, basically. It's a sharing circle, it's a mastermind, it's a network. It's really a space for men to express themselves fully. And it's mirrored in my own journey of what that looks like, of being safe and being able to just show up and be your full self, being accepted, loved, received as you are fully, as the man that you are today, in a brotherhood of other like-minded men who are navigating exactly the same journey as you. One of the biggest things that I recognized before starting this was I would convince myself that I would work so hard. I was a lone wolf. I'd be grinding my way and really working hard on these big goals. And as soon as we started it, I realized I wasn't the only one. And just as many men are just as committed to their goals, working just as hard, if not harder, to actualizing their potential as a man. I've been in that space and seeing that was really humbling to recognize how much men are committed. And having a space to collaborate rather than compete was super, really, I felt it deep in my core. And I think that's why I love it so much, because I see you, I see the brothers, I see everybody connecting and collaborating and loving what we've built together. And the feedback that I get every single week is so incredible. And I'm so grateful that we have that as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful community that we're building. And I think the essence of it is giving men the space to be themselves and collaborate from that space and express themselves, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's a link there between growth-minded individuals and that struggle, because I presume back home, let's say it's in the UK, we're in this environment, and a lot of the time I think a lot of people don't feel safe to be themselves. And I wonder if that's the link there. The people who are showing up to these type of circles, they get fed up with the life that they used to live, right? Or they're detaching away from that. And I think a big issue, perhaps, maybe you'd agree with this, is that back home or where they grow up, usually there isn't that support network. There's an older circle of friends they don't really resonate with anymore. So do you think there's a link there between people who do want to improve, but then those are also the guys who don't really feel listened to or heard in normal everyday life?
Completely, man. And I fully agree. And something that really resonates with most of the guys that join and we all share is this idea of being a lone wolf. And but us being in Bali, for example, everybody's gone on their own journey to arrive here. Everybody's had to go through their own adversity, their own challenges, their own skill development to be able to be in a position to have the money, to have the business, to be able to create the life that we live being in Bali. That journey, 95% of the time, you have to isolate yourself from your current situation because it goes against the grain of so many people. Number one, building a business alone. Most people aren't entrepreneurs. So anyone that kind of is in that space is isolated anyway to some degree because most people don't understand. A lot of people out here are kind of agency coaches. It's different type of models. There's new business models now, which most people don't understand unless they're in it. But then being able to actually succeed in that, you have to spend some time in solitude and isolation because you have to put the grind work in. You have to put the hours in. And the hours are isolation, doing the work, doing the reps, putting them in. And quite often we can kind of convince ourselves that, okay, if I want to succeed, it means I have to isolate myself. Because we often go through that at the start of trying to do both and realize, hang on a second, this isn't working. And I know that this is my path and I want to do this. So I'm going to have to sacrifice socials, friendship groups, what I used to know in order to get this new life and this new version of myself. So that process that we go on is kind of the prerequisite of getting the success. But then we reach a certain level, that then belief no longer serves us because we can network and be with like-minded people. Oh, cool, you're doing exactly the same thing as me. That's sick. Let's jam. Let's collaborate. So But going into that space and unlearning that, unraveling that way of thinking to then enter that space with ego, with like traditional men that don't want to talk about their problems, let alone to men that don't know and strangers, combine that journey with typical male traits, it's a very hard thing to do. So having that growth minded, having that courage to be like, do you know what? It's going to be fucking uncomfortable because like growth is discomfort, right? So if you think like growth minded, right? Growth equals discomfort. If you're willing to be uncomfortable, you're willing to grow. That's another arena and opportunity for you to grow into through that discomfort. So you have to have a growth mindset to step into it, because if you didn't, you wouldn't go in. Make sense?
Yeah, I wonder if you think then, do you think that discomfort is just a necessary part then? Because we've discussed, right, okay, now we're here, the Brotherhood is essentially a place where, okay, right, we've kind of got to almost the other side, if you like, because you're surrounded by people who you can connect with. So do you think that middle part is always necessary? Is that a test of our courage perhaps? Or do you think actually the Brotherhood is an example of a place where, okay, you can actually go there straight away? Or do you think that middle part is necessary?
I think it depends on the individual, right? I think it's very subjective of like where people are at on their journey. I think that some guys will just come straight away and they're like, oh yes, this is exactly what I need. And they'll know intuitively that they need to go there. Other guys will be the complete opposite of like, fuck, I know I need to do that, but I don't want to do it yet. And they'll avoid it. And there's the other guys in between that be like, oh, just calm. And they're like, it's like, they'll feel super uncomfortable. They'll be nervous. There'll be anticipation. There'll be like uncertainty and all of those emotions that they feel, but they'll still go into it as well and realize the second they get there, it's like, oh, wow, I needed this. Because I think it's a body thing. It's not a mind thing. It's not like, oh, I think this place is really good. I feel this place is really good. I feel it in my body. I feel the connection with other brothers, and I feel that. So I think that it really depends on where people are at before they get to that point, how aware they are that they need the brotherhood. Because I think it's a kind of a values thing. I knew I needed it through going through a very long season of not having it and telling myself I didn't need it until I broke down in tears one day and realized I was lonely. Then I was like, oh, shit. That's when it swung over like, oh, I really need this for my own well-being.
Well, that makes me wonder whether these breakdowns or these moments are just a necessary part of life, because I'm reflecting on my own journey and I'm thinking the first time I experienced like, oh shit, what the fuck is this feeling?
Yeah.
Well, this is dark. I didn't think this existed.
Yeah.
First time
not for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking back and I'm like, that's like a blessing really now looking back at it, because I think when you hit those really tough moments, they force you to go deeper within yourself, right? And that makes you who you are today, and you build stronger foundations, and you form, I think, a stronger relationship with yourself because you've been through those difficult times, right? Even if you did have low self-esteem, it's kind of like, okay, look how far we've come. And I wonder if that's a necessary part of life, do you think? Do you think everyone needs to suffer to get to that sort of next place, perhaps?
Well, this is resilience, right? This is the skill, the character trait of being resilient, because life is going to throw fucking punches at you every single day. But do you have the resilience to get up and continue on the mission? Continue to pursue that goal despite the number of punches. And that's what I'm saying before around like every man has had their journey to get here. Every man's faced adversity. Every man's faced struggle, faced challenges. They've been betrayed, they've been broke. They've had all these things happen to them, but they're still showing up, which is like the character trait that you need, right? It's that courage to keep going in despite of fear and resilience to get up when things go wrong. And I think it's an absolutely necessary character trait that you have to develop. And I think that is, and I recognize this in my own industry, of if you haven't got that, you won't last because you're going to consistently face challenges. So it's like you either have it or you don't. The people that succeed either do or they don't because of the character traits that they develop on the process.
I see. So really, you've just got to be open to learning, right? And not have this sort of I call it like a victim mentality. Mm-hmm. Fuck, the world's happening to me. This girl's cheated on me. This business idea hasn't worked out. But again, I think it's just a change in perspective, right? I wonder if perhaps from your own experience or from what you've observed, are there any things that people can do perhaps to cultivate or perhaps break away from that victim mindset? Mm. So I think it's a very easy thing to do, right? I think, right, okay, victim mindset. I think first we kind of need an awareness, and then once we have an awareness, then we can then take responsibility. But I don't know if you had anything to sort of add
Yeah,
to
I
that.
think most victims don't know they're victims, right? And this is what we say in the Brotherhood. For those that don't, those that obviously won't listen, know one of the language patterns we use is I. So reframing from this happened and you just do this and you react like that, versus when this happens, I react like this and this is the reactions I have and I respond and the results I create. That single flip is like going from victim to ownership. And everybody has to go through that, I believe. I don't think anyone grows up and like, oh, I take ownership of what I've got. But I think that personal empowerment, your stance of being empowered, requires you to take ownership. Because if you externalize things, you externalize your power as well. So by taking ownership, you're pulling all of these things back into yourself to be like, right, if I create all of this, I can then create the opposite as well. And I think that it is a journey that you have to go on. And I think sometimes you have to get slapped around the face enough times to even realize. And I think that's kind of thing. Like, oh shit, I keep doing this. It's not them, it must be me. And it was a saying once, it was like, if you're consistently putting out fires, you're the arsonist. I was like, oh, that's good. My old man says like, oh, trouble just follows me around. I'm like, oh yeah. So I think it's like recognizing the patterns in your life and seeing where you can easily give the blame. And I think recognize that with compassion and love and be like, okay, cool, I recognize that. But now I have the choice, the conscious ability right now to say, I know what my part was in that, whether it was in a relationship, whether it was in a business partnership, whether it was in a business deal, it was in an event, it was in training, it was in your nutrition, all of these areas of life, you are responsible for that. And if you can take that, you can then lead your next step being empowered of feeling that level of control that you can have conscious creation of your life and reality. And I think that is such a profound shift in any person's journey through life when you go from the victim to the creator.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, I'm reflecting on sort of my own journey, and I remember back then when all this stuff happened to me, I remember at first it was, okay, right, empathy for the person who I believed wronged me at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, right, well, that's the reason why she did that. And I kind of rationalized that, okay, right, it's not personal to me, that's why she did that. But then I think you've got to take it a step further and not even think about them at all. Think, okay, how did I allow this to happen in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I was a massive people pleaser. Okay, you've got to be nice to be, like, you've got to be nice. Like, you can't rock the boat. I just thought, okay, yeah, I just, like, you want to be who doesn't want to be the chilled guy who's, yeah, you know, you don't really start fights. Like, that's everyone else. But no, I'm the cool
I'm the good guy. I'm the peacemaker.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. I was the same, exactly the same.
Well, yeah, and I think we know where that stems from. We'll hop into that a bit later. But yeah, absolutely. I think we can get into this habit of, oh, okay, that annoys me, but I'm not going to say it. And okay, she's done this, but I'm not going to say it. And then you wonder why this big moment's happened that's really hurt you. And it all comes down to you not having boundaries in the first place, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's like a simp, isn't it? It's like, oh, I was such a simp. I'd be the person that I would not have boundaries, and I would do things above my own good and what I knew I shouldn't have done in trying to receive love and validation from someone that didn't deserve it, just to feed my own wounds.
Yeah, well, I guess the wound aspect is a pretty big one. I think a lot of people probably won't even realise that they have wounds, to be honest, from their childhood. I certainly didn't think I did. Thought, well, okay, I've had such, it was such a privilege, and it was in many ways the upbringing that I had. But yeah, there were things that are going on now, which as a child, wasn't the best thing to experience, let's put it that way. I wonder if sort of how that process has been like for you, looking back on the past, and because I think a lot of the time we can resent a lot of stuff from the past and what's happened to us. So I guess that's a whole process in and of itself, overcoming that emotion, right?
Totally, man. And again, it's something I've kind of really dived into recently because I was exactly the same. I was like, I was super privileged, had an amazing upbringing, like really like beautiful childhood. And there's almost like shame of like, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to say that it was bad. But it wasn't bad. It's just a human condition, right? It's just how we receive things. And even saying this, like I prefer the word wound than the word trauma, I think, because it kind of, the stigma around that can be quite misconstrued. But I think if we're just a wounded little child, of the part of our little child's wounded, we didn't receive love, we didn't receive the things we needed, that for me is a more compassionate and easier way to kind of speak about this, because everybody picks up wounds. As a kid, you run away, you fall, you occasionally leave, you've got a physical scar, but you don't see the stuff inside. And like bringing awareness to that with love, compassion, with understanding that it was exactly what was meant to happen to you as it happened, because it happened the way it happened, and not looking back on that as, oh, that shouldn't have happened. I think it really allows you to, again, take that ownership position. All right, cool. Like, I can look back right now and show my love to myself, show love to my mum, show love to my dad, show love to all the people around me, because we're all just children walking around in adults' bodies anyway, right? So it's like they were only doing their best of what they got, and yes, some of it wasn't great, but then they were dealing with their own shit, just as we're still dealing with our own shit, right? So there's like going through the lens of compassion, but through the lens of understanding like why patterns and things that you create around yourself, or the resistance you feel in your life right now, or the areas of your life that aren't where they want them to be, and these things that you can kind of feel shame around, or guilt or frustration around internally, understanding where they stem from, and from a pattern perspective, I think super powerful. And it's only something I'm really, really diving into now, but I had a transformational experience last week. Exactly the same thing. Realized so many things, and it leaned me more into love, more into compassion to my family, more into love of life, more into love of myself. I'm like, oh wow, that's so fascinating. Why this thing that I could seem of suffering sometimes is because of this, which now empowers me to change that, right? Rather than just kind of forcing the square peg into a round hole, forcing things, and then why is this not working? Because I spent so much of my life, why is this not working, and beating myself up, come on, hustle, grind. Why am I giving so much to the world and not receiving? It frees that up. Okay, cool. Doesn't require so much force energy. It's just letting go of more stuff.
Yeah, I feel that strongly. You realize now our ego, we're all running off our ego, right? And the ego it's not us, it's an accumulation of our subjective experiences, right? And I think that's really important, learning to sort of separate ourselves from the mind. And when you look at the mind, okay, the stuff that angers you, the stuff that you realize all this stuff is just external, and none of it is actually tied to your real survival needs. And like you were saying, it's just when you peel back all the layers, whether it's through psychedelic experiences or through breath work or therapy, whatever it may be, it all comes down to love. And when you realise that, it completely shifts your perspective, I think. The fact that, right, okay, we go into life and we're seeking these surface layer emotions or things, or these external shit. And then once you sort of have that realisation, you're like, okay, none of that shit actually, like nothing actually matters at all. Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's quite a paradox, right? It's kind of like it's discombobulated. It shakes you up a little bit, like, oh, hang on. But then it gives more meaning to the stuff that means meaning, right? Like you choose the meaning it gives. There's a guy called Peter Crone, brilliant guy, right? Mind architect. And he has a quote, and it's that life will give us people and circumstances to reveal to us where we are not free. Which I think fucking sick, mate.
I love that.
Because it's like, all right, cool. So you walk through life and ping, 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 ping. That pissed me off. That fucking annoyed me. That made me fucking angry. Good. The only thing that's something that's triggered you is alive within you, which is another signal for you to be like, okay, cool. How do I look at that? So I can move through life without swinging from like pole to pole to pole, like positive, negative, but just move through from a place of, okay, cool. I'm in control. I'm centered. The external environment doesn't trigger me because I've done the work, and now I can move towards my goal and mission with ease and flow because I'm aligned to what I'm meant to be doing, and I'm not pulled into the world out of my own unconscious wounds. And that's the game, right? And it's like, fuck, that's so cool. So then it's like, flips that, like, oh, fuck this. Like, cool, what is this teaching me? I've created this. I've created this really fucked up situation right now. How have I created that? What has been the lead up to that? And what is this moment right now teaching me what I need to learn? If I can be like, all right, cool, what is it? I'm not trying to I used to really need to crave the answers. Tell me, the mind. I need to know, I need certainty. It has to be this.
And I think that's where the big issue comes in our modern society, because I think a lot of our suffering comes from trying to control stuff. We try to control our emotions. We try and control all this external stuff. Whereas the only thing we can control is our reaction to it. It's just so
response.
Simple. Well, that's it, our response. And I love that you mentioned this whole idea of like people being mirrors they're mirroring something back to you. I've learned so many lessons, and I think my sister actually said that because she did a tarot reading for me, which are awesome, by the way. I appreciate, for the non-spiritual listeners, there's going to be a lot of resistance there, but they're amazing.
Yeah.
If you've got an open mind to them. And the message I got once, and it really shifted my perspective, was like, you're looking, because I think we can go in two ways. We can either look too much at the external world or too much within. And
Yeah,
for me,
100%.
it was too intrinsic. I was just looking at myself, and she said, look at people around you and you can actually learn so much more about yourself. And I've applied this. I remember there was this one chap and he was really triggering me, and there's I think stuff would pop up on like Instagram or in WhatsApp groups, and it would like really be bugging me. And I'm thinking, hang on, this shouldn't be taking up so much of my energy. What is it that I actually don't
in
like?
your mind, isn't it? It's like thinking of things.
And I was just like, hang on, no, like this is not normal. I shouldn't be having this much. So I had a look around and I was like, oh, now I get it. It's because this guy I sort of would consider a friend, but I realised that a lot of his actions weren't in alignment with my values. So I then realised, right, I'm getting annoyed at him because I haven't told him what I feel, and I haven't been authentic. I haven't expressed my most authentic self.
Yeah.
And that was a big lesson for me. I was like, okay, I either need to tell him what I think about the stuff that he's doing and how he's showing up in the world, or I need to just cut him out completely, right? And that was a big lesson.
What did you do?
I just cut him out. Yeah.
Even that, so sometimes you don't need to say it. Sometimes the things don't need to be said. You can resolve all the shit within, write letters, speak, journal, write it down, process it yourself without ever needing it. Because it's only, all I'm telling him is to get a reaction out of him anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this is an interesting subject actually, because if they're your best mates, then you're going to tell them straight away, like, okay, mate, by the way, I've noticed that you're doing this. Like you need to sort your shit out. But I think some people, I wonder if there's a beauty in just, you know what, like maybe just no need to take responsibility for them. I find this subject super interesting. I don't know if you found similar.
I know there's conflict. There's definitely tension and conflict between those two things around, like, is it my responsibility? Like, what is my responsibility in my relationship? And how do I live by that and live by those values of, like, if I believe I was acting out of character and I would want my friends to pull me up on that as an expression of love, as an expression of you are better, you hold yourself higher account, then I will then do that, right? Then some people don't have that, right? So it's like, how do you show love through that? Not from a shame, you should be doing better, or like, you are better, which is different. It's so nuanced, but it's completely different. It's not like, I'm not projecting onto you what I believe you should do. I'm seeing you as the version of you who I know you are and inviting you into being better, which is completely different, right? Point of that of like, I'm allowing you to come in.
I love that. And my girlfriend's done that with me as well.
They always do, mate. That's the beautiful thing about having a conscious woman.
Yes, and I think if you've got the right partner, I think that in society, I think people have this illusion, maybe it's just from my own experience and my circle back home, I think people have got this illusion of what relationships should be like, but I think you eventually realise that, okay, actually, I think the right woman will make you be more vulnerable, it will open yourself up, and she'll push you to become a better man, right?
She'll invite you into becoming a better man. She'll give you the space to be a better man, right? Because I think that's the thing that we have to do around, like, I've got a beautiful relationship. Like, I've just got engaged to my partner. We met here in Bali 2 years ago. She's Russian, beautiful soul, and we're soulmates. I truly believe that. And I'm the version of who I am today is 100% because of the growth that we've experienced together and how she's called me into being a better man and invited me in and given me the space to step into that. I wouldn't have had it without her. And I wouldn't have had the motivation without her, without the love that I feel for her and the version of myself who I say to myself I am, but then show up in my relationship as I am. That allows me to grow exponentially quicker because I have that feminine energy in my life to do it and the alchemy of that. And I couldn't agree more, mate, with that, 100%.
I love that, and the fact that it's like 2 years as well, I think that's a big lesson for people listening, because you can transform your life in like 2 years and even less than that, but I think just 2 years you can experience so much growth. And like it's massive, and even in like a 3 month period, I've noticed as well, you can make big improvements in your life. But I think a lot of the time we get wrapped up in this sort of end goal of who we want to be. I think we can become that person now and just start embodying it. Don't think about, oh, it's going to be such a long time. Just do it now. Just be the person you want to be now. Start embodying it, and just, you know what I mean? Like, you can be that person now. Like, it's not, doesn't have to be this huge, like, 5 year, 10 year goal. Just experience joy now. Be the person that you want to be now. Just, what's stopping you? Like, okay, you want to be a better person, then be. You want to attract a partner, for example. Okay, who would your partner be? What qualities does she have? Okay, start embodying that in your everyday life. You know?
That's literally like, if you could distill down the secrets of life, that's literally it. Like, there's a paradox, right, for the listeners, is that if I do the things, I'll have the things, and then I'll be the thing. So do have be, right? But the actual truth is you have to be the person to do the things to have the thing. So it's a paradox of, you have to be it now. Be the transformation, live it. That's what I do in my coaching, the people I serve. I'm like, the number one reason why in my industry, for the listeners, I help coaches, consultants, agencies, creators build their online business, create more impact, create more freedom. The number one thing is, do you live and embody the transformation that you're offering? Because if you don't, you know you don't. And if you know you don't, you have shame. And shame has a funny way of distracting you and procrastinating and avoiding and doing the only thing that's going to get you to the point where saying, yes, I can offer you help, because you do not believe at your core that you can do the thing that you're promising people, because you aren't living it. And our psyche, our intuition, has a funny old way of pulling us into balance. And I know that from lived experience. Whenever I was out of integrity, whenever I was trying to be someone I wasn't, whenever I was trying to wear a mask in my marketing, my intentions were always pure, but it was on the belief of like, who I am is not enough. The version of myself, who I am right now, this minute, is not enough, so I have to pretend to be someone else. Versus, if I just embody who I am and speak from that place, that's where the magic happens, and my path will unfold in front of me if I live by that, not the opposite of trying to be someone I'm not.
I love that. I wanted to touch on procrastination because you mentioned it there. So what's the link then, do you think? Because I hear it all the time, it's like, right, I want to beat procrastination. But I think that's just a surface level,
100%.
surface layer thing. Like, why are you procrastinating? My first thoughts was, okay, what's your actual motivations? I think that's a big part of it. Are you running out of fear? Are you still not living in alignment with what you truly want to be? But do you think, based off of what you said, I think there could be another side to that, which is, okay, who are you actually being in the moment? And
there is so many angles we can go for this, because a lot of procrastination is a buzzword, right? Basically, I'm not doing the thing I need to do. I'm not doing the thing I know I should be doing, or thing that I think I should be doing. And my experience, most of the time, comes back to self-worth. I don't believe I'm worthy of the goals that I want set. So therefore, I will self-sabotage, and I will not do the things I know I need to do because I don't feel worthy of the thing. And that can be like fear of failure. That can be like, oh, what if I fail? And then what does that mean about me? It could be fear of success. Of like, right, if I do get the thing, then I'll lose it. Or if I do get the thing, then I'll have to separate who I am and lose the people I love in the process. And it might mean that I become a bad person. So there's so many expressions of like what procrastination actually is. And deeply at its core, if you go down, because it's all of these stories, and this is stuff I work on, quite often the case is that they don't feel worthy of it. And that's a self-love thing. Do I love myself enough to say that I can have what I truly want? Yes or no? You might say yes, but then your actions will be different because you're procrastinating, avoiding, not doing certain things, self-sabotaging, doing things out of alignment, doing things that cause you shame and guilt because you know you shouldn't be doing them, and they're out of truth, and you know that, even though you don't admit it. So you pretend, distract yourself, and do other shit. But then you lay at night thinking, fuck, I should be doing something else. You can't escape it.
Yeah, that's the big thing with all these like dopamine hits, you know, they're just, and I speak about this a lot recently on the pods, about this relationship between like pleasure and happiness, the difference between them, and how we use pleasure to distract ourselves from the root cause, whereas if we just kind of neglected that part of pleasure and we kind of looked within, then okay, you're going to be uncomfortable, but then I think that's where you start to get some of the answers, right? And you mentioned self-love there. I guess the next question onto that would be like, right, how to cultivate self-love. And I find this discussion really, really interesting because for a long time I kind of thought I had self-love, but I realized a lot of the time I still had low self-esteem, but my ego was getting validated externally by other stuff. So yeah, I guess in your journey, how did you sort of cultivate that self-love?
Yeah, I think like my personal development started about 7 years ago. And it was like we were talking about it actually around like the first personal development book I ever listened to was called The Game. And it's around how to pick out girls. Because it was like, that's an acceptable thing for my ego to say that I need help on in private that I didn't tell anyone else. And really that's just about being confident. And it's like, work on yourself. And it was like, that opened up a whole different door of like working on myself, on confidence, on like business, discipline, like all the very like traditional masculine traits that you need to succeed, right? And I always thought self-love was a feminine girl's buzzword. I was like, come on, like, of course I love myself. And it wasn't really until I started doing more inner work and doing the spiritual kind of psychedelic work that I really started unraveling the layers of what it means to love myself and what that really means. And it plays out in so many things. I think specifically around like entrepreneurs, business owners, is directly correlated to the amount of money that you make and you keep. And for again, it's like what the values you have. Something that I learned recently was that, I'm not making the money that I want to make. I know I can make more. And it was like looking at strategy problems. And I got taught the mirror principle around money. And it was like, if you're not charging the money you want, it's because you're not fully loving and accepting parts of yourself. I was like, wow. So I've done a mushroom trip. And I realized, I was like, oh my God. The thing that I was ignoring was my gift. My gift was my intuition. My gift was my ability to tap in and speak from my heart. And let that be the thing that's enough. That is enough. I don't need anything else externally than who I am. And then I had a big quantum leap in my income because I realized that I wasn't loving all parts of myself. I was getting distracted and going down, but like fucking procrastinating, going down like AI infrastructure workshops. I was like, this has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. But I was avoiding certain parts of my business because deeply underneath, I had a belief that I cannot charge the money I want because I need to have this externally to be worthy of it. So then I'd done the work and I was like, right, no, I am enough. My ability to coach and be with someone and give me my presence is enough. And then I had a quantum leap. So it's so far away from what you might think the problem is. And I've worked with hypnotherapists, healers, and even they say every single problem that you have, every symptom you have, is where you are not fully loving and accepting yourself as you are, knowing that that is enough. I am not enough. I am not enough. And that's kind of the journey that I've had to go, and I'm still going on it. There's layers to it, layers and layers and layers of how can I love myself more deeply, to be more abundant, to have more relationships, to have more money, to have more love, to have more of it. And it's like that expansion comes from within, then to go out, not out there.
Yeah, I love that and can certainly relate. And I also think it's important to touch upon what you said there. This growth journey, I feel like we grow up thinking there's an end point, but there never is. I think we just continue on that journey forever. I don't think there's an end point. We're just continuously learning this journey about ourselves. And perhaps you could argue, if you want to go deeper, okay, why are we actually here? Is it to get rid of all the layers and discover really who we are at our core and fall in love with that sort of version of ourselves? And you touched upon sort of spirituality a bit there. I think for a lot of guys there's resistance there because they've grown up perhaps with a religious upbringing or maybe not, and they've kind of seen extreme atheism, and they're like, okay, there's nothing to see here, just that's all like woo-woo shit or whatever. I think my mission now is to sort of bridge that gap, because a lot of people see spirituality as something mystical and like afterlife, whereas I believe it's very much a huge part of what we're doing now in the world. And I wonder, in your instance, what sort of helped you sort of open up to that side of things?
Yeah, so like, again, I was an atheist. I was like baptized as a Christian, but never really practiced. And I remember like as a kid, I'd like look up in the stars and it would make me scared, because I'm like, fuck, I feel like a grain of sand. Like I feel like nothing is it's all meaningless. And I remember as a kid, I had this envy for people with religion, of like, at least they get to believe in something, whereas I don't believe in anything. And then as I grew up and kind of my own journeys of like all the things that kind of I went through, I always lived a good life and kind of had like, I was on the books of professional football as a kid when I was like 15 and cricket, like an athlete, and then kind of went off into traveling and doing a lot of cool stuff. And it was not part of my life at all. But I felt lost and I felt empty. And I felt like I was chasing the dragon all the time and going in like escaping and just living for the weekend, living to party, because that's what made me feel alive, because I didn't have passion or purpose. And I was like, I'm so lost that the only thing I know what to do is just go party, which I spent like 8 years doing. Always envious of people with belief, of faith, and then people that knew what they were doing, knew what they were called here to do. And then one night out with my friends, I smoked DMT on my mate's balcony in Sydney, in the freezing cold, laid outside, and smoked DMT. And I went, and I got blasted into a different fucking dimension. And I was never the same again. I was like, oh my God, everything's fucking like, what I thought was true is not true at all. And then that kind of foundational belief kind of led this curiosity. But I was in personal development at the time. I was still like learning about personal development and like really, but from a surface level perspective, never really engaging into the spirituality stuff. Yeah, and then smoked DMT and then kind of like blasting me open into this whole world of spirituality. And then I started listening to books, podcasts about intuition and people in Bali and like all of this cool shit. And I was like, wow, my life is enriched. There is so much more that is what my existence is, that I was so closed off to, that now I'm like so curious about. But with that, of like the infinite game, like there is no end. So like this expansion of like this curiosity is like, it's great because I've never stopped playing this. There's always insights and growth and healing and development and quantum leaps I can make, and impacts I can make and revelations that I can have. And I think that kind of really, really deeply shifts the paradigm and reality you get to live in, but is enriched in so many layers, emotionally, intellectually, and in all and relationally, and all areas of my life. So like, from going from like one pole to the other, like to be, I've been right down the rabbit hole now, right down the rabbit hole, doing ayahuasca retreats and that sort of thing. And it's such a present part of my life, but I have cultivated a deep, deep level of trust and support, that I am supported, that everything I want is coming to me, that the path in front of me is unfolding, that as long as I live in alignment and live to my values and live to my higher self and lean into courage when I have to and not fall into fear and doubt and worry, that all of these material goals I'll have, that will just take care of itself. And then I will get to experience psychedelic, spiritual experience that are beyond my comprehension. So I think it's fucking sick. It's like it's a whole fucking different game. And I love it.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I love that, and I can relate so much. I think you get to a point where you just feel so protected. You just know that everything's just going to be fine as long as, like you said, I think you're leading with love and you're living. Yeah, you're just living authentically, and I think if you just follow that, despite all the resistance, I think eventually you will get there. And I appreciate that's going to be a journey for a lot of people. It's not always going to be plain sailing either, I think, to get to that point. And I think you kind of, like we were alluding to before, I think you kind of need to, figure this out and go on your own sort of journey, right?
It goes back to the resilience thing, right? It's embracing the journey, but embracing that. And then we're having a conversation with the brothers. It's like, right, when I feel good, I'm supported. When I don't feel good, I'm not supported, which is an incongruency, right? So it's like, even when times are good, great, you're reaping the rewards, you're reaping what you sow, but then when times are bad, it's like, cool, you're being tested to grow again, but you're still supported. The person who you think you are, the person you want to be, the person you're called to be, the leader who you're called to be, the only way you get there is through adversity, because you have to build the character traits and face the resilience, face the challenge, face the struggles to come out the other side as the man who can speak from truth and say, I can fucking serve you. I can serve you because I've been there from a place of wisdom and lived experience. It's not what I've read in the book. Is I've lived that and I've gone through it. And the only people that can lead are the ones that have been there themselves, because you can't lead where you haven't been. So if you want to lead, if you want to grow, if you want to be this version of yourself, you want to have the life, the money, the fucking family, all of the shit, the cost of that is the fucking adversity. And if you're not willing to do it, fuck off. Like, in a polite way of like, don't expect to have it. If you're not prepared to face the challenges, the discomfort, the deep levels of fear, worry, doubt, when you feel like an ant and you feel this big, but you still get up and do it despite how you feel. And I have love and compassion and empathy for the people, for everybody, but I have a very firm stance on this of like, if you say that you want something truly, but you're unwilling to be uncomfortable, you don't really want it and it's not really yours. It's someone else's. That you think that you belong doing that, whereas what yours might be something a bit softer, it might be something a bit different, which is absolutely okay. But live in alignment with that and learn how to live within that, not think you need to be successful, not think that you have to have a business in order to feel loved, feel compassion, to feel aligned, to be on mission, to be all of the person you want to be, because the reality is not everybody's cut out for it, which is okay. Find your thing and honor your thing, not trying to live by someone else's values because you think that's the answer. Honor yourself, honor your own, live by that, and you'll remove all this resistance you feel. You'll be inspired to do the work instead of consistently facing this resistance of like, is this really mine?
Yeah, there is so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
I just loved every second of that. I think there's so many different directions we can take that in. I guess the first one as well is that, again, you know, you need to be, I think if you really actually want to get to that place that you think you do, then yeah, you are going to have to go through tough times. And this is what I noticed as well. It's like, okay, are you actually prepared to do that? And if you are, then, you know, fucking do it. I do think, you know, that you could perhaps maybe go in the deep end a bit too soon if you're not ready. I think you can perhaps, you know,
100%.
There's steps.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And yeah, that's a learning experience in and of itself. And there's two things there. There's this, again, I think a lot of people, they're comfortable and they're chasing that pleasure, right? Whether it's porn, it's Netflix, it's food, alcohol, all these quick fixes. And I think you've got to ask yourself as well, okay, right, am I prepared to make some sacrifices to get to where I want to be? I do believe that, and I think a lot of people don't because it's uncomfortable. It's like, okay, fine, but this is the big thing. I think a lot of our pain comes from resistance, right? They want to do something, they want to work towards this thing, because like you said, they're working towards something which may or may not be in line with their values. And then there's like this resistance there, and they're like, oh, and then they'll beat themselves up for being lazy and procrastinating. And it's like, mate, just cut out the resistance. If you're going to just not work, just don't work. Just embrace it.
Don't suffer.
Don't suffer.
Don't spend 2 hours suffering.
No, just like, you know, work a bit. And if you're not working, either fix it or just accept it. You got to change it or accept it, right? And I think that's where a lot of the resistance comes. It's like, oh, I should be doing this. Okay, then do it. Well, I can't. Okay, then don't.
Even should, right? It's like, I should be doing this as an injection of like values. Of like, oh, if you've got a parent who, like, let's say they're entrepreneurs, oh, I should have my own business right now, and you're in a job, it's like, that's living by their values, because the should come from the should nots. So it's like, even in those scenarios, it's like really understanding what is yours and what is not, and not beating yourself up, because it's like suffering exists in what the suffering exists in, like, I want life to be different than how it currently is. I want my reality to be look like this, and the suffering is in that gap, versus just honoring where you're at and accepting where you're at. I mean, it's like that footing, that's victim. Oh, I want this to be that. Well, it's not that. So don't fucking worry. Like, don't suffer because it's not that. Honor where you're at. And it's always like bringing back your power. And I think one of the things to kind of touch on with that is this whole like, and it was a really amazing piece of advice when I got from one of my mentors, was like, honor the season of life and business that you are in, not where you want to be. And be prepared to accept the trade-offs in the pursuit of the goals that you have. So it's like you said, sacrifices. Easy example, going to the gym. Most guys, any growth-minded guys, start with their physical. Because the baseline, like if I get fit, it will solve most of my problems. Started for me, I lost like 23 kilograms. Went from like 19 stone to like under 14, like 14. Completely changed everything about me. I was like, oh, I proved that to myself now, because my narrative was like, I can't start a business because I can't control what I eat. And until I overcome that and built the habits, and then I was like, oh, cool, now I can do other shit. But that's an easy example. It was like, right, if you say you want to get fit, the trade-off, you have to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. You have to be in a calorie deficit. If you're not willing to do that, you don't want it. or you think you want it, but your soul, your body, everything around you, your reality is saying, this is not yours. Hello, wake up. The resistance you're facing is because it's not yours. So like sometimes resistance, and I say this to my clients, you have to have a very attuned eye to say, is this resistance or is this misalignment? They sound the same. The voice in the head sounds the same. But you can get, oh, I'm not aligned. It's like, no, you're not aligned. You're just feeling resistance, and your mind is telling you that you're not aligned, so you go and do this thing over here. Whereas maybe the thing that you're feeling the most resistance to is the thing that you have to overcome the most, but you're fearful of what will happen on the other side of that. Fear of success, fear of being seen, fear of losing it all, fear of failing. So it's like, sometimes it's like, right, the big thing is the big thing you've got to go, or it's like you're going the wrong way, you're going the wrong way, you're going the wrong way. And like quite often the case for me was like, my life would be chaotic. I would be super frustrated. Internally, my human design is like frustration. If I'm frustrated, it means that I'm moving in a pathway that I shouldn't be moving in, or I'm not making a hard decision that I know I need to make, and that will create frustration in my life until I'm ready to do it. That was the brotherhood. I felt like I was energetically pushing men's work down because I wasn't ready. I need to be this version. I need to have more money in my bank. I need to be this version. I didn't even have the fucking idea who it was. I just said I wasn't ready. And it wasn't until I was like, right, I accept that responsibility, that thing that, and things started quantum leaping and changing, and my fucking boom, things started taking off. When I stopped pushing the thing down that my intuition was telling me that I need to do, and it caused that much chaos until I had to say, okay, I receive this and I accept it, and I will move into this next stage.
Intuition's a really interesting one. How do you think people can become more attuned to it, or even just trust it, I think? Because my intuition, again, over time, I think I've realized that my intuition's done something. I'm like, oh, you should do that. And then I haven't ended up doing it. And then I told my girlfriend, oh, yeah, I did have that inkling to do it, but I didn't do it. She's like, that's your intuition, you should do it.
Females,
I'll tell you, if it's the right woman, they'll make you into a better person, mate. But
women tap into intuition, and they give men intuition. I don't know how it fucking works, mate. My missus says shit, and I'll be like, nah. 2 weeks later, I'll be like, fucking hell, she was right. She was fucking right.
I think they are.
She reads things beyond the mind, the senses of the men. 100%, mate. 100%. But even that with intuition, right? Again, like, how do you tap into that? Firstly, I think the first thing you do is look back and like be the archaeologist of like, right, when did you make a decision that you knew was right, but everybody around your life told you it was the wrong thing to do? That's when your intuition was really activated to start with, because you have access to it. Don't think you don't, you do. For me, it was like going traveling, like saying, fuck it, I'm going to the other side of the world. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I just got to do it. Like, really? What are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. But I trust myself that I'll figure it out. So there's always times that we have done it, and quite often it's a case when we really, really, really had to use it. And I think moving forward, like right now, if I give you a hack on like how to tap intuition to more, and this was given to me very recently, is like meditate on 10 minutes a day and ask the question, what is my intuition trying to tell me? That's it. Just give space, because you can't hear it unless you don't have space. So meditating 5-10 minutes and just asking the question, what is my intuition trying to tell me right now? And just not trying to find the answer, but just ask the question.
Yeah, and I find this shit super interesting. And that actually ties in. A lot of people listen to that and they think, what is this guy on about?
Doesn't make sense.
But it fucking does. And this ties in, again, if you want to keep it surface level, if you try and control the outcome in your life, then you're not going to get it. And this is where I think a lot of the struggles come from, right? It's because they're not just letting the universe or letting the world just show them stuff for them. If we try and control events, like, okay, I'm going to get more money. Okay, and if in your mind that comes in the form of, okay, it's going to be in the form of, I don't know, it's going to be in the form of like this new business idea, for example, then you're trying to, and it's going to come from this guy. And you're kind of, you're letting you're trying to control the universe, and it doesn't work like that. I think you've just got to trust. The more you trust, I think the more you're going to receive, right?
Yeah, 100%. Sam on the Brothers said to me something, shout out Sam for this. He said, like, in his kind of martial arts he does, is like we put it into the ku, which is the void. So it's like, if you just put your ideas into the void, it will happen and come back to you. But you have to get it out. You have to speak it out. You have to say it and put it out for the answer to receive. And it's funny, man. Like, since I actually learned that like 2 weeks ago, I'm like, I don't need to know the answers to this. Me spending the time trying to think of the answers, wasting my precious time and energy when I can do things that I need to do. Of like this, but this internal mind, certainty, control of the man, mostly men, I need to know the answers. But the need to know the answers is a need for certainty, which is not real, right? It's like life is uncertain. You can't get certainty to that, but you are seeking that. Therefore, you are suffering because you're in this gap of what you think you want, but you can't have it. Whereas if you're like, right, the only thing I can certain of is put it out, ask the question, then you can get it in, you can receive. It's so fucking fascinating, man. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
But you've got to it sounds woo-woo to a lot of people, but I think the more you stack your evidence of making what seems like a strange decision, but then seeing the fruit that comes from that, of like, oh, wow, it's like a nod from the universe. Good job, mate. Here's a pat on the back. Here's a confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be. Might be through angel numbers. It might be through clients. It might be through fucking amazing opportunities. Like, where did that come from? But it happens. And the more you do that, the more you stay on track. And I truly believe the more you stay on track, the finer that line gets. It's like a tightrope. The more you stray from that, the quicker you'll get slapped.
Yeah, I'm so in tune with that now. You know, it's like every time, it's just so obvious for me now. The signs I get from it's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you just every single scenario, you're just like it's like it's just being presented to you, and it's just like every single interaction is just they're like showing you something. It's like it's fucking crazy. Like I hope everyone can be connected to that.
I hope everybody gets to experience that, because again, it's like, if I go back to when I felt fearful, it's because I felt alone. This like envy I felt of like, I am nothing, is that because I didn't feel supported. I didn't have this trust within myself. Like, I trust myself, but I'm supported by something greater. And then it's like, one of my mentors said something to me really good. It was like, he's a big Christian guy, but I'm not a Christian as say, but it was like, you set your financial goals in business. You want to do 50K a month, 100K a month, whatever. And you're like, right, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, this is how I'm going to do that. And it's like, yeah, but you're missing a massive component. It's like you're missing faith. And I was like, fuck. So it's like half of it you can map out. This is the moves I've got to get. But the other side of that is faith that things will come together. So you release this pressure of, I have to have all the answers. Because you can't. But if you try and have that, you're handicapped. Because you're trying to think you have something you're never going to have. And it's like, faith is a massive component of all of these goal setting. Yes, you do your due diligence, strategic planning, you map out your KPIs, you know what you need to do, you know the goals. But then there is faith of being supported by something greater than yourself to know that it is already yours and it's going to come if you just stick to the thing.
And trust your intuition, right?
Yeah, every step of the way.
And even, and I think just, we've talked about this on the pod before, just being open towards the signs and just really, being in tune with that. And again, it ties into what we were saying earlier. We look, I think society, look at what, I like to say, I really believe this. It's like, look what everyone else is doing and just do the opposite.
Yeah.
I really believe that with everything. You see people, like your favorite TV show, did you see this? They're having cigarettes, they're having pints, and just like, okay, it seems normal. But then you're like, okay, actually, hang on a sec. Look at people who inspire you, I think. Okay, what are they actually doing? And you just notice they're just so different from the pack, and they stand out.
Do you know an interesting thing, right, with that, is that John DeMartini, really fascinating teacher. He talks about the masters and the masses, and he talks about like how the masses, most people, are just emotional animals. It's like they're just swinging from one emotion to the other. The news, work, traffic, they're just going from like super angry, super excited to super sad. Like, then it's like bang, 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 bang. And like they just get swept into the world. Like they have no control because they're at their emotional responses and reactions and triggers are pulling them into life through the orchestration of what life is at that level. Whereas if you can learn how to tap into your intuition and remove your triggers and come back into center where you're like, all right, I see that going on. Is that something that aligns to my values that I'm inspired to go and enter? right? So like easy example is like protest. You'll never see me on a protesting street. Never, ever, ever. I honor the people that have that passion for that and respect them completely because they're passionate about it. They're inspired to be there. They believe in it. Beautiful. I would never do that because I see my better use of my time going out and building my business and being of service to things in my control. So it's not okay that I am better or they are worse. It's that I believe that I have more awareness around my emotions to decide what I entertain and what I don't, because we only have a limited space for energy and time. So it's like an example of that around like, again, like all the dopamine, all the other stuff is like personal empowerment. Best way to do that, understand your values, understand what you actually want, and then align your actions to those values where you see like, oh, I value health. Is me smoking, drinking alcohol, eating shit aligned to that? No. Okay, cool. Easier decision to make. Live by that. And it all starts there, man. And I think that it's so powerful understanding your values. And then, because another thing is that what feels like work to you feels like play to someone else. So like everybody is put on this earth to be inspired to do something. It's like, what are you inspired to do that you don't need motivation for you? Right now, it's sitting here doing this. Zero motivation. I just fucking love it. Do you know what I mean? Which is a thing. It's like, great, I found a thing that I can do without motivation. So everybody needs to kind of find that thing that they need to do to then tap, to remove the resistance and just find that kind of, oh, I can wake up every day and love what I do.
Yeah, and I also think a lot of people get frustrated by that. Oh, I need to find my fucking thing. But I actually think just, if you haven't found your thing yet, that's cool. Just experience more of life and just see what, and I think that will lead you closer and closer to your thing, right? I think
100%.
that's an important point. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
So much fucking value in there. That's awesome. We have 3 closing traditions on the podcast.
Yep.
The first 2 are sort of routine questions, and the third one is asked by one of the Growth Voyage listeners, which is cool.
Nice, okay.
First one, pretty simple, is a song suggestion.
A song suggestion. This is an interesting one that comes to me now. There's a Mike Posner song, a new one, called It's a Beautiful Day. And it was when my mentor told me to listen to it, and it's called It's a Beautiful Day by Mike Posner, the guy that said, I took a pill in Ibiza. So that guy, the guy that I took a pill in Ibiza.
Is he the guy who also did Cooler Than Me?
Yeah.
I heard a story about that. I heard I think he kind of...
He's went on a whole complete transformation of life and support and universe and shit.
Yes, and I think he reflects back on that song and he's like a different person.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a beautiful day. And it's basically like, it's a beautiful day to be alive. And he's like completely flipped it. So like, I think that would be relevant to the conversation that we have.
Yeah.
And it's like a dance track. So it's not like a super woo-woo track. It's a dance track, but with the spirit of like, I used to be this guy that lived for that, and now I'm this guy that lives for this, and this is how much better my life is.
Yes.
So I'll try and put the track in, but it's a cool one. My mentor worked with him, and he was like, right, cool, I'll do that.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I'll be checking it out.
Yeah.
Second one, book suggestion.
Book suggestion. Okay. The most transformational book, if I'm going back to the start of my journey, right? 2 books in tangent with each other. The first one was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, it asks you to write your mission statement. That book is the first time I've ever done a personal development exercise. But I wrote down, I just want to travel the world and want to help people. And it was the first time I ever wrote my goals down. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a simple man. I just want to work online and I want to help people in the process. And then that 2 weeks later, boom, found my purpose. Because it was the first time I ever wrote down my goals. And I was like, oh my God, I need to be a coach. Bang, bang, it gets what I want. So if it's that book, that would be it. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, write down your mission statement. Because it gives you clarity on who you are and what you want and why you're here for the first time.
I love that. And I think for a lot of people, sometimes it's just, having that chat with yourself. Okay, what am I actually doing? Am I in autopilot here?
Writing it down.
Yeah, I love that.
First time you write those down.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I love that. Third one was it was a question from one of our audience members, and it was from David French, and he asks quite simply, what does success mean to you?
Success to me is, and it's a good question, because it's changed recently. Success to me is being able to show up every single day as myself and get paid to exist. and be able to work when I want, who I want, with who I want, with cool people working on cool things, and giving my loved ones the freedom that I can give them. And that for me is success now. And I deeply, deeply believe that every single one of us has the ability to live out our values, get paid in fair exchange, and to create all the freedom we want for the people that mean the most to us.
Yeah, 100% agree. I believe anybody can transform their mindset. And yeah, I think you've been such an inspiration. And I really think this has been a theme on the pod as well. It's just, with all due respect, just ordinary people who've done extraordinary things, and they're living a life full of joy and purpose. And like, yeah, there's nothing special prospectively about
Not
it,
at all,
right?
mate, no.
And yeah, such inspiration, so much wisdom as well. If people want to get in touch with you, or they want to check out more of your stuff, where can they find you?
Yeah, go to Instagram _Ryan Herrington, so HERRINGTON. I'm launching my own podcast soon, which will be cool. I've got a YouTube channel coming out as well, more. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, wicked. Yeah, I'll certainly be tuning in, mate. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been such good fun.
Thank you, man. I just want to honour you as well, mate. Like seeing your growth over the last few months since we first met, and seeing how much you've developed as a man, and your communication and your ideas. And I see you leading yourself and leading men in our community as well. And I love your perspective on life. And I think from one of our circles recently, I felt it, and the audience will feel it, man. So I want to honour you for your amazing transformation, and also this amazing journey that you are on, mate, because it ain't fucking stopping.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's just all so exciting. This is what life is.
This is it.
Yeah, this is amazing.
And that's it. You're living it. That's what the guys are going to be inspired by.
Yeah, and I think if both of us can have that feeling, then I think literally anybody can.
100%.
Thank
you for having me, man.
Most welcome. Thanks, brother.
Mate, that was sick, mate.
Oh, mate, so much fun.